Hello, this is Rich Mogul. Welcome to the Firestarter of August 11th. I think it's August 11th, 2015. Joining me as always, first we have Adrian Lane. I always go Mike first. I'm going Adrian first. Maybe you'll talk more.
I talk on occasion, come on. But one of us has got to be the silent one. We got two
Yeah.
guys who never shut up.
There is that. And yeah, it's the silent podcast member. It's good. Video cast, whatever this is.
Well, you know what they say. Some people have voices made for podcasts, and evidently, or faces made for podcasts, and Adrian evidently has a voice made for video. So,
Yeah. And then, of course, Mike Rothman. Mike, how's it going?
good, good. It's a good thing. My liver seems to still be inside my body, because after a week at Black Hat, you are never actually sure. And then I'm actually reaching the age where some of my friends are turning 50. It's somewhat horrifying, and we choose to celebrate when they turn 50. So, and evidently that was disturbing enough that Rich had to run away.
No, that was me seeing my wife's car pull in the driveway, and she's
Yeah,
got three kids in it, so I know what's coming next.
Close the door. So yes, so it wasn't bad enough that I was in Vegas for 5 nights. I had to come home and celebrate my friend's 50th birthday. So as if my liver wasn't hanging by a thread, it is truly hanging by a thread now. But I'm able to detox for a couple of days, so it'll be a good thing.
Did you get any smarter by the age of 50, or were you just as insane as you were when you were 30?
Me or him? I'm not that. I'm not there. I've got a couple of years, so there's much more insanity for me. He's over the hill. 50. You're basically dead.
Yep. And hey, we do apologize if anybody's got some video blackouts. There is something going on with the Google Hangout today where the audio is coming through and the screen's popping black every now and then. It appears to be out of our hands. It's not our video editor. It's the tool that we use. We switch over. We use Join Me for our regular stuff, but it's just a bunch of little circles. It doesn't work well.
Alphabet. Blame the alphabet.
Yeah.
The alphabet people now.
It's the alphabet's fault.
Yep.
So actually, you know what? Because a lot of people, I teach so we now have the best-selling class at Black Hat. Between our two classes, 130 students. And so James Arlen and I teach for 4 days straight. Mike and Adrian help out with the last 2 days for the larger class. And so this year, I have to get out there. I fly out on Friday. I teach 4 days before Black Hat officially even starts. And by the time people are going out and getting all crazy and drinking, I'm just worn into the ground from teaching 8-9 hours a day. So I don't even drink that much. So my liver actually does fine. But I don't think anybody cares about this because I'll be honest. There's some news today.
There's news.
It made my week.
There's news. Adrian, tell us the news.
Well, it appears that Marianne Davidson over at Oracle Corporation wrote a blog post, but you wouldn't know because the blog post got pulled. But
wait, hold. They took down a blog post. Oracle is censoring their own employees now. Am I getting that correctly?
I think you are correct. I think Oracle is censoring their blog because apparently Marianne ran off at the mouth a little bit on reverse engineering code and how bad that is for their customers and bad for the contractors and just naughty.
It's a violation of the license agreement.
Yeah,
That's
apparently.
Exactly right.
True. But you guys have been around the database security realm as long as I have. You know that a lot of Oracle database customers are very, very wary about database security, and they've been hiring their own testers. Sometimes they hire fuzzers, and those fuzzers go out and find flaws, and then they start digging around and report them to Oracle. In other cases, they're actually taking their code and sending it out to scanners, either dynamic or static scanners, and they're finding vulnerabilities in the code, and they're sending that off to Oracle, and Oracle's pissed. At least I think Oracle's pissed, but they're not fixing many of the vulnerabilities.
They're pissed because they're not perfect? Or they're pissed because their customers are telling them they're not perfect? Or they're pissed because basically they're just pissed because they want to get pissed?
Yeah, so the rumor mill, if you want to believe the rumor mill, is that there are a handful of serious bugs. A handful of serious bugs that will cause architectural changes and some relatively catastrophic code changes that need to be made. The rest of them are pretty minor, but you're going to have to re-architect and re-implement certain sections of critical code to get these vulnerabilities fixed. And if I was Oracle, I wouldn't want to fix them either, but your customers are starting to discover them through static analysis. So,
is there not a school of thought that says adversaries have tools and adversaries do static analysis and adversaries actually test Oracle's databases to find the holes, and they probably don't send vulnerability reports to Oracle, and that customers are maybe just acting in, I don't know, self-defense to protect themselves due to the fact that the adversaries are finding these things and Oracle is not fixing them? Could that possibly be a scenario?
After a week at Black Hat, and every single presentation I saw relied on fuzzing and static analysis to go find flaws in code. Yeah, hell yes. And in fact, most of these organizations have started to static source libraries, and now they're starting to do it with their commercial software vendors as well. And they're finding stuff. They understand that their risk profile is a hell of a lot higher than they thought it was originally, or their vendor is telling them. And so what did Oracle do? No, that's bad. You're in
that violates the EULA. Talk to our lawyers. See, now, notice I've been kind of stepping in a little bit here because I know once we get Rich going, he is not going to stop, like, period. So I wanted to get at least a couple of words in to remind everybody that I still work here, because I know once he gets going, it's just going to be hard to stop that train.
Yeah, so I've got a long history here. Back in, and I couldn't remember what year it was, I had to look it up today. So back in 2004, I was still relatively new as an analyst, although I swore I wrote the first one earlier. It was when CPU update, it was 68 or 86, something like that. Oracle update, patch update 68 or 86 came out. It was before they went to their quarterly cycle. I wrote a Gartner research note basically saying Oracle, those vulnerabilities are very serious. Oracle's got some serious security issues, and DBAs and enterprises need to pay close attention and be very careful about how they use their Oracle products. That set off a firestorm of events. Oracle was not pleased because, look, I was a young analyst, but this came out, all the news articles out there, and I tweeted one today, said, Gartner says Oracle not a bastion of security. And not Rich Mogul says, but Gartner says. Nowadays it might be a little bit different. So that came out and really caused all sorts of issues. Now previously Oracle had tried to get an analyst fired over writing some critical stuff, and that didn't necessarily get them where they wanted. That analyst was, I believe, actually eventually moved out of that coverage area. But in this case, it was well documented. I think actually Neil McDonald was on that note with me. I was so new to being an analyst over there, and when, or at least to writing that, being an analyst in that part of Gartner. And it was well researched enough that Gartner stuck to their guns. So I did strategy days over at Oracle HQ where they tried to convince me otherwise, met with Marianne and her superiors at various points, and the main criticism was they say there are these vulnerabilities, they say that you need to patch, and they provided nearly no details on the vulnerabilities, because that's how they used to approach things. Now they do release some CVE scores and things, but they are known to adjust the definition of those scores, and they do weird things like they won't advise a workaround if that workaround could affect any other Oracle product in the stack. So even if all you care about is the database, they won't give you a workaround if that would break one of their business apps that's on top of the database. They're pretty bad about all of this. They have a software assurance process internally that they've never described the details of. We know that they sit on hundreds of vulnerabilities because we talked to the researchers. We know the time to patch some of those can be years because of our conversations with the researchers. So they have a really long bad history here, and really in comparison to other products. If you look at DB2 and Microsoft vulnerabilities, SQL Server has nearly none, and some of the others are even worse. So, by the way, can you guys hear me still? My video is completely frozen on my side.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. We can
all
hear
right.
you just fine. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
I'm gonna keep rolling through this thing and
well, as we've always said, we all have faces made for podcasts, so it's not the worst thing that we can't see everybody.
Yeah. All right. So that should hopefully kick it back in. Yeah. So anyway, so there's this long history, and I've got this history going back well over 10 years at this point. Marianne and I never saw eye to eye. Oracle and I never saw eye to eye. And it wasn't like I was saying, all these. I mean, really, it was just put your customers first, and that was not the position that I would say that they have historically taken, including things like their patches frequently break. Sometimes the patch tools will tell you something is patched, and then you go back and it turns out it's not really patched. It's very ugly. To this day, every Oracle DBA and admin I talk to fears touching the database products, even the newer versions. And this was back when 8 was still active, when this all started. They're on, I don't know, what is it, 12, 13, something like that now? I lost track because it's irrelevant for me at this point. So if you look at that, there is a long history of this. I know Marianne's positions because we have discussed them sitting over the table. They don't like researchers looking at their products. They think that that is a borderline, if not outright, criminal action.
That violates the EULA too. Yeah.
They've said it. I mean, they've flat out said that to me. When we were discussing database activity monitoring tools, not Marianne, but somebody else at Oracle once told me that, that their position at that time was that database activity monitoring, anybody that administrator that put one of those tied to an Oracle product could be held, should be held criminally liable, because if it read the logs in ways that Oracle didn't approve of, which some of the earlier tools, that's what they did, or affected the database performance anyway, that they were putting their organizations at risk, and they should not do that, and they should just trust Oracle and their logging and their advanced security options. That was clearly, unequivocally stated to me. There was no question that that was their position. That one, maybe it was Marianne's, but wasn't. She wasn't the one that told me that. As in the vulnerability things, like they don't believe in providing details that they call a roadmap to exploit of the vulnerabilities. So that's why they cover up. They will never provide proof of concepts. They will never provide the deep details on those vulnerabilities
because the adversaries don't know.
It is a very antiquated view. Yeah. That does not reflect today's operating environment. Now,
that was politically correct, Rich. That was quite politically correct.
I've matured since my younger days when So if we fast forward to where we are today, this is pretty much, that blog post is pretty much directly pointed directly at Veracode. A lot of the enterprise customers include Oracle products now in their Veracode assessments. Veracode's finding a ton of bugs. Those things do get reported, and Oracle is tired. Marianne Davidson is tired of seeing those bug reports. And so her position is basically, you're violating your EULA. Don't look at our product. And if you report stuff, we'll fix it when we get around to it. We probably found it ourselves. Your opinion doesn't really matter here. We're not going to totally ignore it, but we're not going to give you credit, and don't expect us to thank you. And by the way, we might sue you because you're violating your end user agreement.
We will sue you. We will sue you. And again, the arrogance in the post, which of course nobody can see because they pulled it down.
Oh no, everybody can see. It's the internet, man. It's the Streisand effect. By
right.
pulling it, they just got way more attention than they would have had if they left.
Sent me the list in the webcast, so that is true. But the arrogance in the message was incredible, right? It was, every fuzzing tool basically generates 100% false positives. We have people who do this for a living, and they're very good at what they do. So the odds that you're going to find anything are basically nil. So just trust us, follow your EULA, and get back in your box. Mr. Customer, who has every friggin' important piece of data, maybe not every important data because of this NoSQL thing, but a lot of the important data in your environment, in our stuff, but who cares?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that is exactly what that point of view is, and it is exactly how those have been expressed, at least in my dealings with Oracle, over 14, 15, 11 years at least at this point, and I'm really trying to remember because I swore I wrote some stuff even earlier than that, so I need to go look that up. So yeah, I mean, that's the view. Just don't, they take that approach, and if you talk to people or their customers, that's what they take, which is use the products as we provide them in the way we tell you to, and any deviations from that, we'll charge you more, we'll sue you for violating the EULA, we won't support you, whatever it is.
And we have more lawyers than you do. And honestly, unless it's probably a Fortune 10 company, they're right.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, legally, they are right. it is a violation of the license agreement. This isn't like even like a click-through EULA as you go to a Facebook or something. It's a regular contract license agreement, and for an enterprise class product, and you can't reverse engineer per those agreements. So are they legally within their rights? Probably, yeah, as far as I can tell. Is it the absolutely wrong message to send? Well, apparently, because now other executives in Oracle pulled down the post and apologized. But
Did they apologize?
They basically said we welcome the feedback of our customer. That was the other one. Let me switch over here because I've got a few of these articles saved, and
we can put the links in the
yeah, we'll do show notes for this one.
Yeah.
Quote: We remove this post. It does not reflect our beliefs in our relationship with customers, wrote Edward Scriven, an executive VP and Oracle's chief corporate architect. So, I mean, this could actually be, maybe it's even the beginning of the end for Marianne, because this is absolutely her opinion. She went right out of the government. I think she was NSA into Oracle. But, you're now talking also about a company that 2 years ago I was told that over a year ago I was told that the CIA and not the Culinary Institute of America had stopped buying new Oracle products because Oracle wouldn't change their licensing agreement to deal with cloud and virtualization. If you know anything about Oracle CPU-based licensing, it's very difficult in cloud and virtualization situations.
Right.
And that's huge because they were one of their first major customers. Their first major customer really was the intelligence community. And that's where Oracle got its roots. That's how Marianne ended up over there. So I found that was interesting. And maybe that's changed, but at the time that was a retired member of the CIA said that at a public forum. So that's not like it's no secrets. I don't have any insight. They're not a client of ours. So
am I the only one?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Am I the only one who's got a problem with the whole reverse engineering thing? Because I know that most of the security researchers that are finding issues are not really reverse engineering. They're fuzz testing and finding a crash. And that usually indicates that there's some sort of flaw. It might be minor, but there is some sort of a flaw. There's no reverse engineering needed there. Now, if you're really going to figure out what the code's doing and moving bits around, you might have to reverse engineer some. But still, the fact that Oracle claims that it violates the agreement is up for debate, I think.
No, it's not, because this is directed at Veracode. Let's be completely clear about this.
Well, it's actually directed at their customers that are using Veracode, because Veracode doesn't send the vulnerability reports; the customers do.
Yeah. And there are other reverse engineers that get involved. I mean, if you hire high-end pen testers, they do reverse code. Yeah. If you're using Oracle in the application stack, part of their assessment is going to be to hammer on Oracle and those interfaces. But yeah, I mean, predominantly we've known that there's been a lot of friction between Oracle, in particular Marianne Davidson and Veracode, and I think that's what drove a bunch of this post. So she probably got some reports from a client, who knows? And that's what I find. I mean, it's just fascinating. So, look, I'm just crying. I did more tweets on this than I've done on any topic in a long time because, it is hard to express for those of us who have dealt with Oracle security for over a decade now, who, like, Dave Litchfield, I've talked with him, a big Oracle researcher, and others, Adrian, obviously you've dealt with this as well, to express the antagonism that has come out of Oracle and come out of Marianne's office towards any security products touching their product over these years. Anything short of a firewall, they really
don't even like that.
No, they don't like anything. And the problem is they are now they appear to have more vulnerabilities patched in their updates than any competing products. I could be wrong, but if you look at the major products out there these days, their patch updates, their CPUs, the critical patch updates that they do on a quarterly basis, are full of massive levels of vulnerabilities. And she says, well, we find most of these ourselves with our internal teams. You should trust us. I go, okay. Well, if you were really finding them and patching them that effectively, why do you sometimes have updates with like 100 patches?
What I continue to wonder, and I think we've beaten this. We're all mad enough. Got the pun. We're all mad enough about this to again, just shake our head. But I keep coming back to Mr. Market, right? And at the end of the day, I'm still kind of a capitalist. I'm still a believer in supply and demand, and at some point, customers vote with their wallet. So obviously, we spend a lot of time with the AWS folks. We're very hands-on with that. I mean, I don't know, Adrian. What do they have? 5 or 6 different options, there that can basically replace Oracle, as folks move their back end to Cloudland. So I gotta wonder if it, and because, but believe me, every customer hates them. Every customer hates negotiating with their salespeople. I mean, that's been a truism for a decade, right? I think the only company that's even close to being hated as much as Oracle was CA back in the day, right? But they still keep growing every quarter. They still keep, kind of doing things. And I just got to wonder where sooner or later, right, Mr. Market is right. I mean, sometimes it takes a lot longer than we think it should, but, Mr. Market never loses in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, their
Right.
challenge. Oh, go ahead, Adrian.
Well, yeah, great products at a great price are always competitive, and they haven't had great products for a while now, and they definitely don't have a great price because they've got lock-in. But if you Mike makes a great point, AWS cloud providers are making it very, very easy to move off an Oracle database onto just about anything else. And in a lot of cases, the relational platforms are no longer suitable, and that's why we see such a huge uptick with the NoSQL databases and Amazon's Dynamo, just because they do other things that Oracle does not do. And so as we see companies make it easier for companies to get off of Oracle, we're going to see a decrease there. Mr. Market will be right over the long run.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this is a very long transition. I mean, Oracle products are deeply entrenched. They still do have excellent performance on the core database. Their business apps, many of them, I mean, PeopleSoft is endemic, everywhere, and it's there's until you move to the cloud to replace that, it's actually a very effective product. It's not. One of the things is that we forget is as much as we pick on Oracle, if you look at SAP and the difficulty of deploying their products, you can often get Oracle business apps and financials and their ERP pieces in place much more quickly and cost effectively compared to SAP products. So, but if we look at the database, which is that core part of the business in particular, I think there are a lot of challenges. I think cloud is becoming challenging. But nothing soon. I mean, this is a decade plus, but the writing is on the wall. And they're going to need to change at some point, particularly with their licensing terms, or they're I don't know, yeah, or die. And so nothing immediate. I think a lot of people blow those kinds of statements out of proportion. I mean, many, 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 many years before that fully kicks in and starts affecting them. And to be honest, the leadership and the shareholders will probably push to have those changes in place. They just have too much. I mean, look, if Semantic is still around, Oracle's got a pretty darn long leash at this point. But it is challenging. It's challenging their business model. These security issues aren't helping the situation, and it would not surprise me to see if there's some changes over there, in the not too distant future after this blow up. I've never seen them take something down like that before, and that is significant. And it is very anti-customer because their customers are the one making the decision that they don't feel comfortable with the products, and their history in terms of patching is just not good, and that leaves the opening for these kinds of things.
And I mean, it gets back to what we were throwing around as the title of the Firestarter this week, right? Karma is a bitch.
Yep.
And that's what it is. I mean, she's been antagonizing everybody in the industry for a decade, with a perspective of I'm right, you're wrong, go away, and sooner or later it comes back, right? Reap what you sow. You use whatever analogy or reference you want to, but I guess there aren't going to be a lot of tears shed as the fallout from this continues to hit.
Yep, and and as I sit here to fix my video to close this out, it's not that I've got even Schadenfreude on this one. It's not even that anything personally affected me. In some ways, it got me a lot of exposure. That's how I actually became friends with Dan Kaminsky, because he read that post and he's like, I can't believe a Gartner analyst wrote this. Nothing negative ever happened to me at Gartner as a result of this. Oracle didn't try to get me fired, or if they did, it wasn't overt. They were nice to me. Marianne was forced to be nice to me when I was out for those all-day meetings that we all have to do as analysts, and we even did some work with them, post-Gartner, normal kind of Securosys things, although that didn't, that kind of faded away because we wouldn't just say what they wanted us to say. But so look, I've got no skin in the game anymore. However, I do have historical perspective, and for me, this started, way back in the early 2000s. and those initial research notes and that advice, and you could read that today, and you could compare it to how they do things today, and there's been nearly no change. And the world has changed significantly around them. And I think all that the post and the taking down of the post and it was an actual real apology. I think all that's doing is drawing more attention, and hopefully that will help move things in a better direction. So it was a gleeful day for me just to see this finally come back to light. And I'm sure some other people, Dave Litchfield and Pete Finnegan and others, that have looked at this stuff, they probably all feel the same way.
I don't think they're mad. I don't think they're mad.
No, because we've all been fighting this, and it's all about putting the customers
He
first.
keeps missing the pun. I know you're tired.
I am.
Children,
I need more coffee. Yeah. Go play with kids. Anyway, you guys got anything else? Or should we close it out? We've ranted on this, but it's nice to have one pop up that we actually, have previously been involved with the story directly.
4 years of patching vulnerabilities from Oracle. Remember that. 4 years of writing vulnerability assessment policies and monitoring policies just for that freaking database. Yeah.
And you used to work there way back in the day.
Yes, I did.
Something he never talks about.
Yeah. No, we don't talk about that.
Yeah. It's between that and you working with Bruce, which is we never talk about.
We don't talk about that either.
There's a lot that's not discussed. So, all right. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and have fun and go patch your Oracle products. And we'll talk to you. We're still on our
go violate your EULA.
Yeah, go for us. No, don't say that. We're gonna get to. Do not violate your EULA.
Don't EULA. Don't violate your EULA. Let Veracode do it for you. No, I didn't say that either.
Do we have to tag this one on Google?
We do. Follow the law. Not explicit, but legal advice required. Don't violate your contracts ever.
Yeah. Here, it'll be just like the end of the big pharma commercials. We are not lawyers. Do not follow. We are not giving you legal advice. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. So don't listen to Mike. He's fired. It's done. So I don't know. Take your half of the company, your third of the company, and wait. No, I need that money too. All right. Anyway, we're done. Everybody, have a great week, and we're still on our weird sporadic summer schedule. We'll be getting that cleared up here at some point. But as you guys know, there's a lot going on out there, and kids at summer vacations don't make it easier. And we'll talk to you later.